Hi all, today we'll discuss about system design basic. What all are the system design basic concepts are there which need to be followed while we are going for the interview. So this is the system design where we have a multiple type of approach and all will be there. Like first is try to break the problems into the simpler module. So we have a top down approach and all. So these all are like a system design scope of problems. So here we have abstract design, finding, addressing, and then realizations, ideas, and all. So these all are the topic which we will discuss here for the system design. First is consistent hashing. Second is cap theorem. Third is load balancing, and then Q, caching, replication, SQL versus NoSQL, index, proxy, data partitions. So these all are the concept which need to be discussed while we will go for this basic of system design. So what is consistent hashing, cap theorem, load balancing and all. Now here we will discuss about load balancing. So load balancing's distributed systems. So there are different type of distributed systems are there which will handle the load balance. First is random, second is round robin, and then random wait for memory and CPU cycles. So this is for the load balancing. Now coming for here some load balancing, how it will work from the app server, web servers and all while we are deploying any microservice or services web code. So we have a client here, load balancers on web server. We have a database, there we have load balancers from app servers to database, and in that app server to web servers also we have handling the load balancers and all. Now we will go for the smart client. So what is a smart client? So this will recover the host, detect the host, add the new host and all. So for that purpose we will use a smart client. Now what is hardware load balancers? We have a different type of load balancers. So one of them is hardware load balancer, which will example of Citrix, NetScalers and all, which need to be handled. Second is we have a software load balancer. So what type of software load balancers? OS load balancer, operating system, HF, proxies and all. Now coming for this running on the client machine. So we have a client and server. So we have a client and server. So running on intermediate server, proxy running between different servers. So we have a hard HA proxy. Now coming for this database, like what all are the database which need to be designed while we go for the system design. So there are two type of design. Mostly we'll have a relational design patterns and non-relational design patterns data. So relationals will handle structured, unrelational like Mongo and all will happen non-structured database. So non-structured database will have a key value store, document based store, wide column based store, or graph based store. But structures will have a MySQL, Oracle, SQL Server, SQLite, Postgres, MariaDB and all. Coming for the NoSQL. So NoSQL we have a key value, document based, wide column, graph. So these all are the difference here, when to use and why we are using for the particular. So if you see here, we have a key value based Redis, DynamoDB and all. Document based, we have a different document based non-SQLs like CostDB, MongoDB. And if you go for this wide column based and graph based. So wide column based we have a Cassandra, HBase and all, and then graph based we have Graph, Neo4j and all. So depends on the requirement, we will go for that different type of SQLs and NoSQLs. High level difference between SQL and NoSQL. So what is the difference between SQL and NoSQL? So high level, like it will be considered a storage. A storage wise, which one will be the good? Then a schema. Second is the schema. Third will be querying. So what we are querying, a structure and non-structure. Then scalability, and then reliability, acid compliancy. So these all are the high levels. Reason to use SQL database. So when to use SQL database, I like if you handle this ACID type of operations, which handle the transactions and all, will go for the ACID property. Atomicity, consistency, durability, and isolability. But here structures and non-structures. So this is for the structures. Now coming for the non-structures, which is used for this fastest querying and searching the data. In that cases, if no limit type of data and all, if no transactions will be there, in that cases we will go for the non-structured data and all. Now we'll have a cap theorem. So what is cap theorem? So cap theorem is related for consistency, availability, and partition tolerance. So consistency which achieved by updating several node before allowing the read. Availability which have every request get response, success values and all whatever. And then partition tolerance means system continue to work despite Manses loss and partitions failure. So these type of things will have a consider in cap theorem. So what all are this depends on the system design. While we are writing or creating a design, for that we will go for this terms. Now we have redundancy and replication. So what is redundancy and replication? So duplications of critical data services and all. For that cases we are using redundancy and replications, which need to be find what all are the failovers is happening from one server to another, what all are the data replicated or clone or some same type of data and all from one data to another or one server to another and all. For that cases we will go for the redundancy and replications and all. Now we will go for the cache. So what is cache, when to use caches and all? So cache which is used to handle locality of reference principle. It is used in almost every layer of computing. So cache, we have a application server cache, and then second is if you see here, this is the application server cache type, global cache, distributed caches and all. So caches on request layer node as a memory and node local disk. Now here we have a global cache, distributed caches and all. Coming for the distributed cache. So what is distributed cache? Node 1, node 2, node 3, cache 1, cache 2, cache 3. So divided using consistency hashing function. Now coming for the global cache. What is global cache and all? So the global cache is server, where server which will be handled the cache. Either we have a client side or we have a server side cache. So cache manage the to bring the data from the database. So here we have added the global cache which will be handle the database informations and all. Now coming for this here, what all are the global caches and all? Now we have a content CD and content distributed network. So content distributed network cache store from the site that server large amount from the static media. So content distributed network where we are using from the while we have a request which need to be sent to the backend server. In between we have CDN, so that content distributed network which will be distributed from the server, backend server. Now we have cache invalidation. So what type of cache invalidations and all is required? So we have different type of schemes are there. Right through cache first. Second is right around cache. Third is right back cache and all. So these all depends on the requirement. We will go for this. Some of the evictions policy of cache like FIFO, LIFO, LRU, MRU, LFU, random replacements and all will be there. Coming for this, what is sharding and data partitioning? So a splitting of the DB table across the multiple machine, man, manageability, performance, availability, load balancers and all. So we have vertical partitions and horizontal partitionings and all. Directory based on partitioning criteria and all. Now coming for this, so these all are the partitioning. We have a round robin partitioning, composite partitioning, how we will partition. So common problem for the sharding. What all are the common problem for the sharding? Join and denormalizations, workaround, referential integrity, rebalancing, indexes. So now we will go for the indexes. So here indexes. What is indexes? We will know because of the database improve the speed of retrievableness, increase the storage overhead. Then we will go for the indexes which will use for the improve the speed and all. Data structures column pointers create a different view of the same database, proxy indexes and all. So here we have a client, proxy server, web backend, so caches and all. Now we have queues. So what all are the queues and all? So when to use queues, when to use cache, when to use and all. So this queues we have to use in this LIFO and FIFO, where we have a first in first out, last in first out and all we will be used. So mostly queue distributed communications which will be used for this queue. So we have a rabbit MQ, zero MQL, active MQL, and beanstack T. Now we have a consistency hashing. When to use consistency hashing? So consistent distributed hash tables index equal to hash minus functions key. So there are multiples drawbacks and all will be there. Inconsistency hashing imaging all of the integers are placed in a ring. Now we will go for this long polling versus web socket versus web sent event. So client server communications protocol, how client will be communicate with server, what type of protocols and all will be taken care and all. So client has sending the request which will be going, and response server will send the response according to the operations and whatever the request has sent according to this. So we have a multiple updates will be there for the HTTP request and response, multiple HTTP status codes and all which need to be defined, and then this is full response and all. Now we have a WebSocket communication channel over the single TCP connection. So handshake success response, WebSocket handshake request and all. So server sent a event. So server sent event is equal to SSE. What is server sent event? Client established persistent and long-term connections with the server is called server sent event. So this server sent event which will be communicate with the client and server where always open unidirectional communication channels. So this is the part of basic system design interview questions of A to Z concept. Whatever is required on basic, so that all is covered here. Yeah, thank you.